I had my children right after my mom was diagnosed. In fact, I was pregnant in 2005 when we got the diagnosis. So the second part of it I wanted to read you here is when my mom came to visit. Her problems escalated from being about speech and about struggling to find words to more behavioral stuff. She was less predictable. And so this passage is from when my second son, Jasper, was just an infant. He was about 3 weeks old. I asked my parents to wait a whole month before visiting from New York. I needed time to acclimate to juggling 2 children. And I had even less confidence than last time about Mom's ability to help, given her decline. Actually, it was more than that. I had real concerns for Jasper's safety. My fears turned out to be warranted. Once my parents arrived, Mom insisted on holding him. That was fine with me as long as we were sitting together on the couch. I was always a stickler for hand washing. But when Mom forgot the soap, wet her hands a little, and wiped them on the butt of her pants, I let it slide. Thank goodness Jasper was the second child. One day during my parents' visit, I was getting my hair and makeup done in the living room for an event that evening. Jasper was sleeping in his little Moses basket nearby, and Mom was hanging out with us. Dad had disappeared. I was happy to be allowing him a break. While chatting with Robin, the makeup artist, I hadn't noticed that Jasper had quietly awakened. So I was startled to see my mother carrying him in her arms. Her grip was awkward. Jasper's blanket was askew, falling off in a long train toward the floor. She could easily have tripped over it. I wanted to hop out of the chair and snatch him away, but I was afraid to offend her. In that moment, I made a conscious decision to let her be a grandma, in turn letting myself buy into the fantasy that just for a minute, everything was normal. Then I saw Jasper's head slipping out of my mother's arms as he arched backward. She caught his legs and was able to stop his fall a few inches before he hit the floor. She held him there by his feet, dangling upside down. I gasped, jumped out of my chair, and grabbed him. "Oh my God," I exclaimed. I was furious, on the verge of yelling at her. Her face flushed with embarrassment and, to my surprise, anger at me. She was enraged that I had snatched the baby out of her arms and humiliated by my reaction. It was Jasper's fault, not mine, she tried to tell me in broken sentences. As she continued rambling, I sensed how upset she was. I fought to stay calm. "No big deal," I said, but I was shaking, and my heart was racing. I clutched Jasper tightly to me. As I walked back to my seat, I saw the horrified expression on Robin's face. How could I have let that happen, I thought. Mom went into the bathroom, probably to cry. I turned to Robin and whispered, "Did you see that?" "Yes," she said, equally concerned. We were afraid to say anything else. Mom would be able to hear, and I already knew that my father and I would be dealing with her shame and fury for at least the rest of the day. I didn't bring it up with Brad at the time. I didn't want to worry him, but it felt as if the ground had turned to slippery ice, and I was struggling to get my balance. I realized with certainty that my most important job was to protect my children from my failing grandmother, a challenge I never expected to have. What else could go wrong? My mind scrolled through as many disaster scenarios as I could imagine. What was once a safe cabin turned into a terrifying danger zone as my mind filled in the blanks. I imagined my babies tumbling from my mother's arms and down the stairs, off the balcony or out a window. What if she tried to feed them Legos instead of peas? What if she picked them up by the neck? That happened, almost happened later, but I was there to stop her. Suddenly, nothing was beyond the realm of possibility. I realized that another adult and I would have to be home with my boys anytime my mother was there in case of emergency. We would have to watch my mother and kids constantly and know how to steer Mom away from potentially dangerous situations. Ideally, the double team arrangement had to be set up discreetly to protect my mother from a catastrophic emotional crash if she found out about it. My mind spun out of control, wondering what else I could be missing. My parents' departure could not have come soon enough.